What is up, guys? It's Dropheadz, and today I'm gonna show you how me and Kral made our collab SIPPIN, which is out now on GHETTO GHETTO Records. So yeah, this is what it sounds like. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. I post videos about sound design, music production, how I create my tracks, stuff like that. So if you don't want to miss any of that, click that subscribe button. Also, we made a sample pack and a preset pack, so you can go and download the serum presets that we made for this track, also the sample pack that we made from this track. So if you're interested in that, you can find the download link in the description. And now let's go into the track. So I'm gonna start with the breakdown. This is what it sounds like. So yeah, as you can hear, pretty chill intro. This is mostly stems because this is what Yaka sent me. So yeah, we have this guitar sample. It just plays this really simple melody pretty much throughout the whole track. Then we have this piano. Then we have this bass line. Which, as you can hear, is kind of a brass sound. And then we just have some vocal effects and some background vocal effects and stuff like that, just to create the atmosphere, so as well as some of effects. Then on the second part, the vocal comes in.
Sipping on my lean, syrup on that syrup, how you mean? I said I'm sipping on that lean, came through with my team. Sipping on that lean, came through with a dream. Sipping on my lean, my fucking team. Sipping on my lean, and I'm with my fucking team. I said I'm sipping on my lean, and I'm with my fucking team. Sipping on my lean. My shadow.
So again, as I said, Yaka made most of the breakdown, so that's why I only have stems and stuff. But yeah, we have the bass line, and we have some strings, and some effects, some impacts and stuff like that. Then from there we go into the build-up. Some build-up snares. And I also created some automation clips on the master. So here, as you can see, I have the volume automated on the master, so it brings the volume of the whole track down a couple of decibels right before the drop. And then also the master stereo separation, which basically makes the track mono right before the drop, so then when the drop hits, it makes it sound a bit wider. And then also endless mile, which basically what it does is just, you know, create some low cut filter on the build up and add some noise and reverb and stuff like that, just to build even more energy on the build up. So yeah, from there we go into the drop. My shadow. What I really like about the drop idea that Yaka sent me was this vocal chops. So this thing right here. Whole drop is actually built around that. So as usual, I have you know, we have two sections. and then this part right here would be section B. Then again to section A, and then at the end it's a little variation just to keep it interesting. And then it goes to the second part of the drop, which is basically the same, just a little different rhythm. Now for the drums and the drum beat in general, it's pretty, basic house beat. So we have this kick. Down here I have a sidechain, and lately I've been doing all of my sidechaining with just fruity balance, or you can do the same thing just by automating the volume fader on the mixer. And then I also have these kick volume automations, and basically it's just another fruity balance on the kick channel, and it basically does the opposite of the sidechain. So this automation here is for the sidechain, and this is for the kick volume, and as you can see they're the exact opposite. So this just makes sure that the kick is absolutely turned down when everything else comes back up, which I guess just makes the whole relationship between the kick and everything else work a little bit smoother. Then we have this clap loop, and then on the second part the hi-hats comes in, and some more like percussion drums. For the drum processing, in general I just find samples that already sound good by themselves. I don't really do much processing on the drums. So here I have the kick. I just put some transient shaper on it, and then some EQ, and then fruity balance at the end. For the claps, there's nothing on it. For the hi-hats, I just remove some of the low end, and then all of the drums are then routed to a drum bus, where I just add a little bit saturation on it just to beef it up. And that's basically all for the drum processing. So for the vocal on the drop, we did a different processing on it than on the breakdown. So first I just have some EQ to remove the low end. Then the vocal synth 2 is what creates the most of the effect, and is this polyvox effect. And basically what it does, it creates a lower version of the sound. So without it, it sounds like this, and then with it, it sounds like this. And so it's kind of similar as if you would just clone the sample and just pitch it down 1 octave. It's a similar thing. So that's what we did on the vocal, and there's just some reverb and some more EQ, and then sidechain at the end. But that's the vocal. Now for the synths and the basses on the drop, I used Serum for all of them, as I usually do. So first we have this on beat bass, which sounds like this. So it's really simple bass. I just have a sine wave and a saw wave, and then on the noise oscillator some bright white noise. The filter is this phase 12 minus filter with a pretty low cutoff, around 230 Hz, high drive and a low resonance. And then in the effects we have diode 2 distortion, low pass filter, multiband compression with the high band turned all the way down, so we don't get too much of that high end, and then some dimension just to make it wider. And what creates the movement in the sound is this LFO2, which controls the master pitch and then also the cutoff of the low pass filter. So if I turn those two off, it sounds just like that. And basically the master pitch makes the biggest effect. In the mixer I just have some distortion, some OTT, and then some EQ to remove the low end, then some more EQ. And I route all of my bass sounds through another bus here at the end, and here I just added some more OTT. So yeah, that's it for this first sound. Then we have this plug bass, which is made out of 2 layers. So they both together sound like this. So as you can already hear, is a top layer and then a bottom layer. So the bottom layer is, I think it's the same sound as the one before. It's just a different LFO shape, and this time it just controls the cutoff of the low pass filter to create, you know, more of a plucky sound. And I also used FM from B on oscillator A, and oscillator B is at -1 octave and oscillator A is at -2 octaves. And because we're using oscillator B just as a modulator, we can turn the level all the way down. Filter cutoff is pretty low. White noise, same as before. And then in the effects, I just have some diode 1 distortion, low pass filter, and the multiband compression. What gives this sound a lot of power, so it makes it really plucky, is this envelope 2. So this is what controls the master pitch and also the gain of the multiband compressor. So it just gives it a little bit more punch right at the beginning, and I use this really short decay. So if I turn this off, it sounds like this. So it loses a lot of power, and if I turn it back on, it just adds a lot more punch to it. So then for the top layer, we have this weird sine wave wavetable on oscillator A. On oscillator B, we have this spectral wavetable. Yeah, again, we're using envelope 1 to control the volume of the patch, and envelope 2 to create the plucky effect. And then in the effects, we just have some dimension to make it a little bit wider, some distortion, multiband compression, and then the filter. And then also the macro 1 controls the drive of the distortion. Basically what it does, it makes the whole sound a little bit more bright. I just automated that here. It kind of opens up as this tracks goes on. So again, in the mixer channel, I just used some EQ to remove the low end, some OTT, and then some more saturation at the end. So both of those channels are then routed to a bus channel where I just added some more OTT, some more saturation, and then some more EQ. And that's it for the plug sound. And then the last sound on this section is the wobble bass. So again, it's made out of 2 layers. The bottom layer is pretty much the same. I just used a sine wave instead of a saw wave, and the effects are the same. And then in the mixer channel, I just used some EQ to make some room in the high end. And then the top layer sound like this. It's a similar patch as before. I didn't use any white noise this time. I also changed the filter, so now we have phase 12 plus filter with a higher cutoff, and also I use this warp mode, so this sync warp mode. Without it, it sounds like this, and with it, it sounds like this. So it just adds a little bit to the high end. LFO1 also controls the FM from B on oscillator A, and also the cutoff of the low pass filter. And then in the mixer channel, I just used some EQ to remove the low end and boost a little bit of the highs. And again, both of them are then routed to a bus channel where I just added some OTT, removed some of the low end, and then boosted some more of the highs. Then for the sub, I like to have my sub separate. So how I do it is, when I have, you know, for example, this plug sound, when I'm happy with the sound, I would just clone it, just use, you know, a sine wave, make the same shape with it, you know, with the LFO. So the plug sub bass sounds like this. And I do that for every sound. So yeah, that's how I do the sub, and all of them are then routed to the same mixer channel, which is, you know, made completely mono. And here I just have some EQ to remove everything above 100 Hz, and then remove also everything below 30 Hz. and that's it for the sub bass basically. Then on the second part of the drop, we have this long evolving type of bass. So this is what that sounds like. So this one is really simple. It's just, you know, oscillator A with a simple saw wave, white noise on the noise oscillator, and then comb filter, and LFO1, which controls the warp mode of oscillator A, which is band plus, and it basically makes it almost into like a square almost. So here in the effects, I have some distortion, some multiband compression, low pass filter. Again, LFO1 controls the cutoff, and then just some dimension just to make it a little bit wider. So on its own, it sounds like this. So as you can hear, really simple. In the effects, I just have some EQ to remove the low end, some more EQ, then beat crush, OTT, saturation, some more EQ, then some reverb, and then some more EQ at the end. So really simple. And as everything else, this one as well, it's routed to a bus channel where I just added a little bit of OTT, and that's it. Basically, that is all for the sound design on the drop. Then it's all about just, you know, variation, so different rhythms and stuff like that, and also just adding different elements. So yeah, here we added this percussion loop, and then, you know, some effects. And then yeah, on the second part of the drop, as I said before, is basically the same thing. I just changed the rhythm of the wobble bass. So it's kind of offbeat, and then we also added the piano underneath it. So then we go to the second breakdown. So this first part is pretty much the same as the intro here, and then when the vocal comes in, we added some, you know, simple trap bit.
Sipping on my lean, syrup on that syrup, how you mean? I said I'm sipping on that lean, came through with my team. Sipping on that lean, came through with a dream.
On the samples, there isn't any processing. I just routed them all to a bus channel and added some RC20 on it. So it just adds some noise, and then some saturation, some beat crush, and then some of this magnetic effect. Then we also have this brass sound, which is, I think it's the default sound in Diva. And then in the mixer channel, I just added some EQ. All of the sounds from the breakdown are routed to this bus channel, where I just added some endless mile. So here on the build up, you know, it removes some of the low end and stuff like that to bring up the energy on the build up. So yeah, I think that's basically it for the second breakdown. So then the second drop is pretty much the same as the first one. We just added more, you know, effects and more sounds to it to create even more energy. So we have this hi-hat loop, then we have the piano, and also, you know, some smaller effects, stuff like that. You know, just like small things just to build even more energy than there was in the first drop. But in terms of sound and, you know, the rhythm and everything, it's the same as the first one. So yeah, I think, yeah, so that's pretty much it for this track. Again, as I said before, if you want to download the Serum presets or the sample pack, you can find the download link in the description. I can also show you how we did the mastering for this track. So yeah, so how my production process is in general. I usually, you know, I would mix and master my whole track as I make it. So just, you know, I try to make it sound as good as possible, you know, right away. But then when I have the whole track down and everything sounds the way I want it to sound, I would go and turn off everything on my master chain and do the whole mixing again, just to kind of you know, remove anything that I might added, but I don't really want anymore. Going and doing everything again from scratch really helps me, you know, clean everything up, and then also do the mastering again at the end. So for the mastering chain, I just have some EQ. Then I have FabFilter Pro Q, and as you can see, there are a lot of different, you know, notches and dips and stuff like that. So what I did here is I used pink noise and used the analyzer feature in Pro Q. So it basically analyzed the pink noise and then my track, and then it created this shape. So it makes the track a little bit more balanced. So it would, if there would be like too much high end, it would turn it down a little bit. If there would be too much low end, it would, compared to the pink noise levels, it would turn it down a little bit. So it doesn't, you know, in any way fix an unbalanced mix. It just makes it sound a little bit better. So if I play it without the Fab filter, and then with the Fab filter, it sounds like this. So it's a subtle difference, but it adds a little bit. And then I also added this low cut on the stereo channel. It makes the low end mono. From there I have the glue compressor, and then at the end I just added Pro L, and here I just, you know, push the track as far as I can without making it sound bad. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the mastering. Then at the end I just have some metering plugins such as loudness meter, and then exoscope, and then just this VPS scope. This one is free and it's really cool. It just has, you know, stereo filled. You can see if your track has any, you know, phasing issues or stuff like that, and also, you know, spectrum and everything that you need basically. So yeah, that is the whole track. Again, if you want to download the stereo presets or the sample pack, you can find a download link in the description. You can also stream the track on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube. It's pretty much everywhere. Also, if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe if you want. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good week, and I will talk to you soon.